Research firm Gartner saying global smartphone sales in the second quarter recorded the slowest growth rate since 2013. We saw mixed results from region to region. So joining us now to break down this sales report is Kevin Nabapore. He's Senior Vice President of Content Strategies at Allison & Partners. Kevin, thanks for joining us in studio.
Pleasure to be here.
Let's talk about China, because that is the biggest market for smartphone sales. We saw slowing growth there. Actually saw a decline in terms of sales based on this report last quarter. Why?
Well, what we're seeing in China is something that I think most manufacturers are trying to anticipate overall within the category, which is just a maturation point of having smartphone penetration on a more global scale. They were able to rely on China as a place where growth was pretty steady for a while when it comes to smartphone sales. Right now we're seeing that kind of stall, and we're thinking that at this point we're seeing China as being less reliable from a growth standpoint of new devices. It looks like it's going to be more like replacement devices for first-time buyers rather. So what we're going to see with China is that with the slowdown when it comes to a 4% decline within smartphone sales in that market, and we're seeing that impact across globally, it's going to be relying on emerging markets more for additional growth.
And I want to dig into that a little bit more, but before I do, it's pretty incredible when you think about how big China is, that we could be reaching a market saturation point. And on the flip side, I guess it also doesn't necessarily make that much, I guess it makes a bit of a sense when you think about how rocky China's stock market has been and everything else this year. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about iPhone sales, because those rose 36% in the quarter, according to Gartner. That led to a 2.4% market share gain for Apple, cutting into rivals' market share. Are we near global maturation in terms of, I mean, what's your outlook for high-end smartphone devices? Where are we going to see that growth?
Yeah, I think the premium manufacturers are going to focus on all the bells and whistles of the phablet movement, so the larger, more dynamic screen displays, the note-taking, the operating system enhancements. So you're still going to see a lot of emphasis from the high-end folks in those areas to make sure that that existing smartphone buyers have a reason to replace their phone now to go to something a little bit more high-end. So I think that's still going to be the focus from a lot of those folks, but you're still going to see on the lower end a lot of companies focusing on first-time buyers in those emerging markets to compensate for some of the sort of stagnant growth we're seeing in China.
And in terms of some of those emerging markets where we could be seeing growth in first-time buyers, what do you think? What are some of those markets?
I mean, those are still going to be those countries in Africa, in the Middle East, in parts of Europe. Those places where broadband penetration and smartphone penetration are still at kind of a steady growth incline. We're still going to see that kind of stuff happen, and lower-end manufacturers focusing on sort of entry-level phones are going to still see a bit of a bump in those areas. So that's kind of be what the movement's going to look like in those areas for the most part.
Great. Well, Kevin Nabapore, thanks for joining us today. Thank you for watching. I'm Morgan Brennan. Have a great day.
Hey YouTube fans, I'm Landon Dowdy from CNBC. Thanks so much for checking out our channel. Here you'll find videos packed with all the info that you need to be smarter about your finances. Be sure and subscribe by clicking right here, and click on all the videos around me to see CNBC's original series Young Money, Tech Bet, Kramer's Mad Money, and all the latest from CNBC.